Leave in. Stop. Okay, so this video will be to show how to draw using 1-point perspective, how to start a building, how to draw a building behind a building, and windows and doors. So you'll see I've already drawn a rectangle, vertical sides, horizontal, top and bottom. Connect each corner to the vanishing point. It's important to make sure your vanishing point is literally a dot on the page. Otherwise, your lines will go to slightly different places and they will not be as accurate. So the side of the building is vertical. A trick when you're drawing the back side of the building, right? I need to end where the building is. Put your ruler on the front and just slide it over. So that is the back edge of my building. Now for the top, what I'm going to do is put it on the top of the building, which is horizontal, and just slide it until I line up. I'm going to make like a perpendicular, my ruler will be perpendicular to this vertical line, and that will be the top back edge of my building, like the roof edge. Erase these lines going to the vanishing point. I'm not going to erase this bottom line because that is my road. Okay, so that's just a quick review. Now, to draw a building behind a building. First, what you have to decide is there an alley, like a road space between the two buildings? Or is this like a cityscape in New York where the buildings are right up against each other? If the buildings are right up against each other, what you would do is just put your ruler on this same vertical edge at the back of your building and make it taller, assuming your building was taller. And that would be the next front edge of your next building. That's not as difficult. I'm going to show you how to make like an alleyway or a road, right? Let's pretend that there's a road that's perpendicular to this road. So what I'm going to do is look here on my paper and decide how big I want that space to be. So I'm going to say I want it maybe like to here. So this space right here is going to be my road space. So I'm going to put my ruler right around there, make sure it's horizontal, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line until I hit the building. Do you see now how that looks like there's a road that I could walk on right there? It's partially obscured from the building, okay? So this is the bottom of my next building. It's going to come together in just a second. Now I'm going to draw this line. So what I've done here, I've drawn this part of the building so far in the background. So I need a vertical line from right there. I'm going to make it a really tall building that goes into the sky, okay? Now I need to decide how far over this building goes. So I'm going to decide it goes to about here. Make sure this is a vertical building. And I just eyeball, like my line ends right here. So I'm just going to start this next one in about the same place. So now I have this line drawn, which is this line. I have this line drawn, which is this line. And I have this line drawn, which is what I can see of this line. Remember, when something's in front of something else, it overlaps, so I'm not able to see all of it. Make sure I draw a horizontal line. Erase any extra marks. My vanishing point, that's all in this space here, should not be there because this building is not a see-through building. It's not a transparent wall. So I'm going to erase all of that. And now I only need to connect from this corner to the vanishing point because if you remember, this building is not see-through. So this corner isn't, I'm not going to draw anything from that corner because the building is blocking my view of that. Okay, last step. Decide where the end of this building is. So I'm going to say it's right there. Remember, I mimic. The front line is vertical, the back line is vertical. Erase this line because my building stopped, and erase again this horizon line because my building is solid. I'm just going to touch up my lines that got erased a little bit. So now can you see how there's this alleyway, right? It looks like there's space between those two buildings. If I wanted to, I could like make this into another road, so I could erase that. I could add like a dotted line to the center of it, right? So now I have a little road. If I wanted to add a sidewalk, I'm going to first add a sidewalk here. And now if I wanted to add a sidewalk here, watch what's going to happen. And a sidewalk here. Do you see now how I have a little sidewalk that turns around the corner? I have another little sidewalk. Okay, so that's how to draw a building behind a building. Now, windows and doors. Windows and doors on these parts of the building that's facing right at you, same way you've always done. Windows have, or doors have vertical sides. They have horizontal tops. That's kind of small for my door based on my sidewalk. Let's make it a little bigger. There we go. We have a little door. Okay. Doors on the side of the building. The sides are still vertical. It's the tops and bottom. Remember, the tops and bottoms of the building going away in the distance have to go to the vanishing point. They're converging lines. So the same thing is true for the tops and bottoms of doors and windows. Okay. So what you would do is put your ruler on your vanishing point. I'm not going to draw all the way to my vanishing point because I know my windows are not going past this building, right? I'm not drawing windows all the way down to the vanishing point. Right now I'm just focusing on this building. So my ruler still goes on the vanishing point, but I'm just going to draw where the building is. So this would be right now like a series of windows. Maybe it's like an office building that has like a wall of windows. Okay. If I wanted to write the name of the building, I could do that here. It's a little tricky. Let's say this is, I don't know, Cisco, S-Y-S-C-O, right?
No,
C-I-S-C-O?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom works there.
So you'll notice that the letters get bigger as they become closer because this is further away, it's smaller. And you really want to try to make sure you draw them vertical. Like I tried to make sure I kept my letters vertical so that it looks like they're laying on the side of the building. If I want to draw a little doorway, again, vertical. I'm going to make my doorway bigger. It's going to go into the window space. And then the top of the doorway needs to be a converging line going away. Does that make sense? Can you guys see what I did there? If you want to draw trees or street posts and whatnot, you would do the same thing. You'd draw like a guideline. So let's say I'm going to draw some trees. This is like a tree line street. Okay, so this is my guideline. So the trees are going to grow from here to here. So as they get further away, the trees shrink based on the size of, or it could be a fence. So like say, let's say, we've got some little lollipop trees here. As it goes further away, they get smaller and smaller, not because the trees are shrinking, but because they are further away. Okay? Trees are natural, though. They don't usually shrink like that precisely, but that's just a good example. The last thing I want to show you, and then I'll stop and you guys can really get to work. if you're drawing a sidewalk that is like cement that's laid in sections, you know how you'll see sidewalk that has those lines on it. Those lines are lying flat on the ground. They're horizontal, so you have to make sure you draw them with your ruler being horizontal. So I'm holding it the same direction that the bottom of the building is, and it just goes further away. So it will look like the sidewalk's lying flat. If I draw lines this way, it's going to look like a fence. And I can connect those to make like a little fence. Okay? Any questions? Yes, Liban. That's because you drew the trees. Liban, you drew your tree trunks going this way. I made sure to make my tree trunks vertical, right? Because for the most part, a tree trunk is vertical. Sometimes you might have a branch that doesn't quite stick up vertically, but the trunk itself needs to be vertical. Lyndon? What was that? Yes, so technically what I should do, you are correct. So I'm going to connect my ruler right here, what Lyndon was saying, like doesn't the road continue? It should. So what I need to do is continue. The road right there. And I didn't draw the sidewalk either, but you would continue that, okay? And then you could actually put like a building right here if you wanted to. Like I could draw, say, there's another building here that I can partially see. You can do that as well. And this building would still go to the vanishing point, but it's going to be blocked by this first building. Okay, so now I have another building. Can you guys see that? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to